Could a Trump presidency revolutionize Bitcoin's role in the global financial system? That's the question Nik Bhatia explores in this episode of the TFTC podcast. As an experienced bond trader and author of the upcoming book Bitcoin Age, Nik brings unique insight into how government adoption could reshape Bitcoin's future. In today's discussion, we'll examine three central points: Trump's commitment to establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve, how other nations might follow America's lead, and why government involvement could eliminate the lingering fear of Bitcoin prohibition. Before we continue, if you enjoy these breakdowns, hit the like and subscribe button for more TFTC content. Full episode linked below. The final clip reveals a crucial insight about Bitcoin's relationship with the US dollar that challenges conventional wisdom. But first, let's dive into Trump's history of following through on campaign promises and what that means for Bitcoin.
It already has been. You feel that. There's an energy in the industry. But I want to express my low IQ take on why I believe the SBR is going to happen. This is not a thorough analysis, this particular take that I have, which is that Trump is a maverick. Let's just say that as a mild word. We know the guy is very unique. Okay? One of the things that he does is he says wild shit all the time. Okay? Another thing that he does, because we have 4 years of his presidency, is he actually goes out and does a lot of the things that he says he's going to do. So he campaigned on a strategic Bitcoin. Well, he campaigned on a pro-Bitcoin administration. He came to Nashville and he spoke. Then, as he was reaching the point of being elected, he credited some of the Bitcoin people with giving him a boost. We don't have to say we gave him the biggest boost or the smallest boost. Then he campaigned on the fact that he is going to put in a strategic Bitcoin reserve toward the end. Then he got elected with winning the popular vote and winning 7 out of 7 swing states. Then he says, I'm going to do something very good for the Bitcoin people after he got elected. So my low take is that he got elected on a Bitcoin agenda, and then once he got elected, he said he was going to do it, so I believe he is going to do it. That's the whole take.
Nik's detailed breakdown here illuminates the first key argument of our thesis: the high likelihood of a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve under a Trump administration. What's particularly compelling is how he traces Trump's consistent pattern of Bitcoin-related promises and actions. As someone deeply embedded in the Bitcoin ecosystem since 2015, I've watched Trump's stance evolve from general interest to specific policy proposals, culminating in concrete campaign promises about establishing a national Bitcoin reserve. This isn't just campaign rhetoric. Nik astutely points out Trump's track record of following through on his promises during his previous administration. The sequence is clear, from his pro-Bitcoin speech in Nashville to acknowledging the Bitcoin community's support, and finally, his post-election commitment to do something very good for the Bitcoin people. This systematic progression suggests we're approaching a pivotal moment where the world's most powerful nation could formally recognize Bitcoin as a strategic asset. The implications of this move would be profound, fundamentally altering how governments and institutions view Bitcoin's role in the global financial system.
The Trump strategic Bitcoin reserve is going to trigger more strategic Bitcoin reserves. And I believe that those countries that are going to be triggered into doing this are going to say, hey, let's just tap the bond market. And nothing gets repoed more easily than a sovereign bond. Even EM bonds, they get repoed. The haircuts are expensive, the rates are expensive, but the borrow is provided because those Eurodollar banks love, so EM bonds, emerging market sovereign bonds, are for the most part issued in the Eurodollar market. It's the Eurobond market. It is a London issue. So when I would buy bonds, when I buy treasuries from Citi or from Merrill, and I get delivery of my bonds come from the DTC account of Merrill's New York desk. And I know that because I do all the, when, seeing the settlements, what DTC account it's coming from, and you send the ticket to your ops guys, everything, where the money is going. When you participate in an SSA deal, which stands for supras, sovereigns, and agencies. This is like when World Bank issues bonds under the IBRD ticker, or when the European Investment Bank, EIB, issues bonds, or AFDB, African Development Bank.
The technical expertise Nik shares here is crucial because it validates our second key argument: how other nations could practically implement their own Bitcoin reserves. Drawing from his extensive experience in bond trading, Nik unveils the existing financial infrastructure that countries could leverage to build their Bitcoin reserves. This isn't theoretical. He's describing the actual mechanisms of the global financial system, from Eurodollar markets to bond settlements, that could facilitate national Bitcoin purchases. The significance of this can't be overstated. Countries already understand and use these systems for debt issuance, meaning the framework for national Bitcoin acquisition already exists. Sup, freaks? This rip of TFTC was brought to you by our good friends at BitKey. BitKey makes Bitcoin easy to use and hard to lose. It's the easiest 0 to 1 step, your first step to self-custody. If you have friends and family on the exchanges who haven't moved it off, tell them to pick up a BitKey. Go to bitkey.world, use the key TFTC20 at checkout for 20% off your order. That's bitkey.world, code TFTC20. As someone who's witnessed countless iterations of institutional Bitcoin adoption, I can attest that having familiar, tested implementation paths is crucial for widespread adoption. What makes this particularly compelling is how it connects to our first point about U.S. leadership. Once America establishes a strategic reserve, other nations can follow using these existing financial structures. This practical roadmap makes the domino effect of national adoption not just possible, but probable.
It would be very profound. It would be probably the largest news event in Bitcoin's history from the government perspective. Obviously, we have other events in Bitcoin's history that probably matter more for the growth of the network. But, thinking about long-term adoption and the hesitancy of so many people around the world, both in the United States and outside, to say, I'm not going to buy Bitcoin, I'm not going to use it, because I think one day the US government will ban it, make it illegal. The biggest misunderstanding, I believe, in the outside world is that Bitcoin challenges the dollar to the point where it threatens to kill it. But it's not a full picture. And if the US dollar and the United States wants to survive very long term, it's beneficial for the US to be involved in Bitcoin, not necessarily buy it, but not to make it illegal, to be a leader, to be the home of, as it already is, the home of the first publicly traded company to enter the NASDAQ, 100. Obviously, these are American companies, but the Coinbase being launched on the New York Stock Exchange, the ETFs, Fidelity and BlackRock, these are both American companies. The US is already the home for Bitcoin, in theory. So this just takes it to the next level, and it permanently eliminates this idea that the US government is coming for Bitcoin, which I think is a fallacy. I've believed that's a fallacy for a long time.
This final clip powerfully validates our third and perhaps most crucial argument: how U.S. government involvement would eliminate the persistent fear of Bitcoin prohibition. From my years working with Bitcoin companies and investors through 1031, I've consistently seen how the specter of government intervention creates a chilling effect on adoption. What's brilliant about Nik's analysis here is how he dismantles the false dichotomy between Bitcoin and the US dollar. Instead of viewing them as adversaries, he presents a more sophisticated understanding where Bitcoin's success actually reinforces America's financial leadership. The evidence is already there. Coinbase's NYSE listing, BlackRock and Fidelity's involvement, and numerous American companies pioneering Bitcoin innovation. But what makes this particularly significant is how it connects back to our earlier points about Trump's strategic reserve plans and the potential for global adoption. A U.S. strategic reserve wouldn't just legitimize Bitcoin, it would fundamentally transform the narrative from one of regulatory uncertainty to one of strategic opportunity. This shift in perspective is crucial because it addresses the core hesitation that's been holding back major institutional and sovereign adoption. When Nik points to America's existing role as the home for Bitcoin, he's highlighting how a strategic reserve would be the natural evolution of current trends rather than a radical departure. This reframing of the Bitcoin-dollar relationship represents a mature understanding that could unlock unprecedented levels of adoption and innovation in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Will Trump's Bitcoin strategy reshape global finance? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you found this government adoption breakdown interesting, you'll want to watch our analysis of how Wall Street's biggest bond traders are rushing into Bitcoin. Click the video on your screen now. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching. Stay humble, stack sats,